We're going to move on out of that mysterious close encounter. This object you see here was caught on camera flying past the SpaceX rocket just minutes after liftoff last week.
Call them UFOs or UAPs. They're two different names for the same phenomenon. Aliens dropping in on us to see what we're up to. Judging by the countless stories going around about UFO sightings, they all seem to tell us one thing. They are as curious about us as we are about them. And why not? Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered if we're alone in the universe? Certainly not. In this video, we'll dive deep into the world of UAP sightings. For that, we'll explore some of the most famous and controversial cases.
Officials from the Federal Aviation Administration say there were no aircraft incidents or accidents in this area Tuesday night, but multiple witnesses report seeing a large blue object fall out of the sky and into the ocean.
Going back in time to the mother lode of all sightings, the Roswell incident. Number 1. Roswell. The Roswell incident enjoys iconic status in world of UFO folklore for very valid reasons. It holds the status of one of the most famous UFO sightings in history. It occurred in July 1947 near Roswell, New Mexico, thus its name. It all began with a rancher named William Mac Brazel, who stumbled across strange debris scattered across his property. The material included tinfoil, rubber strips, and sticks. Shaken by the bizarre finding, the following month, he took the items to the Roswell sheriff. But instead of the sheriff, it was the military that was found crawling all over his humble abode. After collecting the wreckage, the RAAF issued an extraordinary press release that stated that a flying disc had been retrieved from a local ranch. Naturally, that riled up interest in the happening. The Roswell Daily Record immediately picked up the story, printing its own version. This was back in the day when the government hadn't caught on to the practice of hiding its findings and burying a mountain of evidence of our visitors from outer space. This stirred up a veritable storm of public interest, and the military was inundated with inquiries from the media. Alarmed by the overwhelming interest, the military soon changed its tune, releasing an official story stating that the debris was from a weather balloon project. But the cat was already out of the bag, and the news hounds were on its scent. Immediately following the official announcement, the newspapers ran an interview with Brazel. He was adamant that the debris he discovered was not from a weather balloon, because those remains were too complicated for such a simplistic explanation. The incident birthed countless theories and conspiracy claims. Though the military categorically denied that any UFO debris had been recovered, the Roswell incident was crucial to sowing a seed of doubt and establishing mistrust between the military and the public. To this day, many people believe that the military is hiding the truth about what happened at Roswell, and that the debris was indeed of extraterrestrial origin. But it turns out, Roswell isn't the only time the government has covered something of this magnitude up. Rather, it serves as a starting point in major cover-ups. Roswell had set the stage for a slew of incredible incidents, which followed close in its footsteps. Number 2. The Kenneth Arnold Incident. The Roswell incident might have been the granddaddy of all UFO incidents, but there was one incident which spawned an entire era of UFO sightings. Our fascination with the unknown can be traced back to one civilian pilot named Kenneth Arnold. On June 24, 1947, Arnold saw 9 blue glowing objects flying at an estimated 1700 mph in a V formation while he was flying his small aircraft near Washington's Mount Rainier. At first, he believed the objects to be some sort of new military aircraft, but the military later confirmed that there were no tests being conducted near Mount Rainier that day. This was no lightweight civilian. Rather, Kenneth was a seasoned pilot and an industrialist who enjoyed certain stature in his part of the world. So when Arnold described the craft's motion as similar to a saucer if you skip it across water, the media took him at his word, coining the phrase flying saucer. Soon, other reports starting emerging of people across the US having seen the infamous group of 9 UFOs. Witnesses included a prospector on Mount Adams and the crew of a commercial flight in Idaho. Of course, the government brushed it off, as a hallucination or a mirage. Number 3. Chills-witted UFO encounter. As the number of incidents grew, so did the explanations. Take, for example, what happened in the early morning hours of July 24, 1948. Clarence Chillies, chief pilot, and John Whitted, co-pilot, were flying an Eastern Airlines Douglas DC-3 passenger plane near Montgomery, Alabama. They were holding steady course at about 5,000 feet altitude. It was a clear, full moon night, so there was no room for mistakes. At approximately 2:45 a.m., Chillies pointed out something to Whitted that looked like a dull red glow above and ahead of the aircraft. Intrigued, the two pilots kept a close eye on the object, which suddenly changed course and seemed to close in on their plane in a matter of seconds. It shot past the right side of their plane at extremely high speed before pulling up into a vertical dive in the sky as a plume of flame shot out of its rear. The entire thing happened in a matter of seconds, but it was enough for the pilots to note that the object looked like a wingless aircraft. Both described it as a tube or cigar-like object 30 meters long, having a diameter of 9.1 meters. Their story seemed to be corroborated by one other passenger, C.L. McKelvey, who reported seeing a bright streak of light that flashed by his window. Number 4. The Gorman Dogfight. Just 2 months later, on October 1, 1948, another pilot was witness to something peculiar. George F. Gorman had been participating in a cross-country flight with other National Guard pilots in his P-51 Mustang. At just 25, he was already a Second World War veteran, which is why a sighting turned into something so much more. As his flight arrived over Fargo at approximately 8:30 p.m., he decided to fly on to get in some night flying time while his companions landed their planes at Fargo's Hector Airport. He was flying over a stadium where a high school football game was being held when he saw another object to his west. There was no outline of a wing or fuselage, while the object appeared to be blinking like a light. At 9:07 p.m., Gorman contacted the control tower at Hector Airport to ask if there were any other airplanes flying in the area, which it denied. He gunned his airplane in an effort to pursue the object, but he found that he could not catch up with it because it was too fast. He made multiple attempts to intercept it, but was unable to do so in his Mustang. At one point, his plane nearly collided with it as it made a 180-degree turn and came straight at his plane. After playing a game of chicken, the object suddenly shot upwards into a vertical climb. Air Traffic Controller L.D. Jensen was witness to the entire dogfight courtesy of his binoculars. The object was last sighted at 9:27 p.m., at which point Gorman broke off the chase and flew back to Hector Airport. This wasn't the last time such a notable incident would occur. Number 5. The Mantell Incident. Just 2 months later, the Mantell incident happened, but this time it took the life of a decorated officer. On January 7, 1948, Godman Army Airfield at Fort Knox, KY, was notified by Kentucky Highway Patrol of the sighting of an aerial object near Madisonville, which could not be identified. Immediately, 4 F-51 Mustangs of C Flight 165th Squadron of the Kentucky Air National Guard were dispatched to investigate the sighting. Of the 4 pilots navigating the aircrafts, one was Captain Thomas F. Mantell. In an effort to approach the object, Mantell climbed his plane to 15,000 feet and reported that he saw a metallic object which was of tremendous size. In pursuit of the object, the pilot led his plane up to 22,000 feet, despite this wingman's warnings and instructions to cease and desist. That was because their planes were not equipped to handle high-altitude flight. The next thing, the new Mantell's plane was in a tailspin as it plunged to the ground to finally collide with it with a huge explosion. Naturally, Mantell didn't make it, but when the military once again denied that he had been chasing a UFO, the public cried foul and accused it once again of covering up the truth. Number 6. Lubbock Lights. Summers are usually quiet and breezy in Lubbock, Texas, But August 25, 1951, turned out to be spectacularly different. It ended with a handful of scientists from Texas Technical College hanging out in the backyard of geology, Professor Dr. W.I. Robinson's house, drinking tea and chatting. The participants were chemical engineering professor Dr. A.G. Oberg, physics professor Dr. George, and Dr. W.L. Ducker, head of the petroleum engineering department. At about 9:20 p.m., they saw something strange in the wide Texas sky, a V-shaped formation of 15 to 30 bluish-green lights passing overhead. The sight sparked off a lively debate about what they had seen, but unbeknown to them, there had been multiple other witnesses of what had happened. About 350 miles away from Lubbock, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, an employee of the Atomic Energy Commission's top-secret Sandia Corporation had been sitting in his home as his wife collected laundry from outside. She rushed in, completely panicked, and she explained that she had seen what looked like an airplane, without a body, with glowing lights, silently pass over the sky. Over a period of 2 weeks, hundreds of citizens were witness to the same sight, but none of their accounts had been corroborated by government officials. Number 7. The lights above the New Jersey Turnpike. While the government might have hidden behind the lack of video evidence for UFO sightings, today's high-tech world has snatched that comfort away from it. On July 14, 2001, drivers on the New Jersey Turnpike stopped alongside a highway to look at the sky en masse. What they saw in the sky could not have been missed by anyone, much less the cameras they held in their hands. For a whole 15 minutes, just after midnight, they could see orange and yellow lights in a V formation over the Arthur Kill Waterway between Staten Island, NY, and the Carteret, NJ. These strange lights ushered in an era of irrefutable video evidence in support of the phenomena, but the government continued to deny the truth written on the wall for the whole world to see. Number 8. The sky above New Mexico. It was March 2004 when a New Mexico surveillance airplane flying over the Gulf of New Mexico flew across something strange, sharing its airspace. Completely mystified, the pilot reported the sighting to the air control tower. Not shy of flying up close for inspection, the pilot went one step ahead and actually filmed a number of strange glowing orbs flying in the clear sky. The video footage is several minutes long, as the pilot tracked the lights in the sky for as long as he could before they disappeared behind plumes of cloud. The Mexican military seems to have a refreshingly open attitude towards the possibility of UFOs and actually put the videos up on the internet for the whole world to see. Number 9. Ukrainian sky. The 406th Battalion of the Ukrainian Armed Forces spotted something strange hovering in their skies. This is actually drone footage, which was being analyzed by the troops, and what they saw was the most incredible sight of a stationary object clearly outlined in the skyline. Its shape was clearly demarcated, and as can be seen from the footage, there can be no doubt about what this is. This footage was made by a militarized heat vision quadcopter, and the object's signature is clear for everyone to see. The soldiers and officers watching the footage in the background can be heard clearly, and their surprise is evident. One can only wonder what other secrets could be revealed if the human race actively pursued a surveillance of its skies. While the military seems to be sleeping at the steering wheel, its diligent civilians are keeping a sharp eye for any funny business happening in their skies, which is how we come across the next entry. Number 10. Sleepless in Hungary. This awesome footage was captured on June 15, 2024 by a vigilant sky watcher. At first, the image is not very clear, and one is left to wonder what is being shown on the screen. But closer inspection reveals the light yet definite shape of a huge circular disc in the cloudy sky. Like a giant stadium hung high up in the sky, the massive ship seems to be suspended by invisible strings. The sheer size of it is enough to give anyone nightmares, but its capability of blending in with its surroundings and operates so quietly in the sky is the stuff of nightmares. Number 11. out of the volcano. It was always thought that UFOs somehow travel millions of miles across space to reach Earth. The latest theory, coming out of some of the most well-respected sources, seems to suggest that they are already amongst us. We just don't know where to look for them. After reports of sightings of UAPs flying out of the water, now we see such irrefutable evidence of UFOs flying out of volcanoes. Our technology is not advanced enough to allow us to be able to explore our volcanoes, but it goes without saying that our visitors are much more advanced. It makes it possible for them to explore not only the deepest floors of our seas, but also the hottest and most incendiary environments known to mankind, volcanoes. Number 12. Casual passengers. Who would have thought that a day would come when we would find UFOs traveling in our skies like casual passenger planes? This anonymous footage comes from a passenger traveling in a regular airplane from spot A to spot B. Nothing out of the ordinary about that, but what was completely unexpected was this strange-looking flying object cruising slightly below the airplane. The video is very clear, and the object cannot be mistaken for anything else. It's not traveling at high speed, but its trajectory is matched with that of the airplane. And what's strange is how smooth its flight seems to be. Usually, when small planes travel, their path is not so smooth, as they are more susceptible to air turbulence. But this object is having no trouble keeping up with the airplane on a perfectly straight path. Number 13. Cylindrical UFO. This is the most incredible footage of a cylindrical-shaped UFO to date. Cylinder-shaped UFOs have been sighted multiple times all over the world, but nowhere has such detailed footage ever been seen as the one here. The UFO seems to be cruising at high altitude, holding its course steady. Its space is measured and its speed is very slow. It is hovering in the sky before it shoots with a loud noise into the sky. The noise is so loud, the cameraman loses his phone for a moment before focusing onto the sky. But where a moment ago the cylindrical object seemed to be hovering, now there's just empty space. Shooting from zero to such high momentum in such a short time is not a capability our best technology has reached as of yet. Number 14. Rocket launch or a UFO. While the world might have a healthy or stubborn obsession with declaring every unidentified phenomenon as a simple misunderstanding, some people have the capacity to overcome their biases and recognize the truth when they see it. Look at this strange series of events happening in the sky. Clearly, something big is taking place here, and the audience is very well aware of it. This bright orb of light hovering in the sky is putting on a power show, the likes of which have never been seen by this audience. As it tries to work out what it could be, a plume of bright light bursting right next to it takes over the sky. It's clear that something big is happening in the sky. The question is this a rocket launch or is it something bigger, like a UFO, traveling from one dimension to another? We can only watch and wonder. Number 15. Ignorant astronauts. Naturally, before UFOs reach their favorite destination, they have to pass by our space station. So how come we don't see them there? We actually do. This is a live feed from Houston-based NASA, as one of its astronauts makes repairs at the space station. A blurred, yet definitive outline of an object can be seen behind the astronaut as he works obliviously on the station. Interestingly, the NASA live feed seemed to disappear immediately after its appearance on screen for a full 10 to 15 seconds. NASA had a perfectly plausible explanation for this. It was just space junk making an appearance. Number 16. Space encounters. It seems that aliens have made their presence felt even in the cold of space, but the human race keeps making up excuses for its ignorance. Take this SpaceX crew of the Dragon about to launch from its dock, but completely unaware of their surroundings. That's why they did not pick up a mid-sized disk hurtling by their craft as it travels at breakneck speed through space. Now, only a fool would ignore proof like this, but it seems Earth is full of fools. That's the only explanation for the reasoning that it could be ice from liquid oxygen in the rocket or just space debris. Number 17. Fireworks in the sky. This video was captured by a teen sky watcher over the High Wycombe Air Force Base in the UK. Lucas Boodle, 19, was loitering around on a clear morning outside his home in High Wycombe, Buckinghamshire, when he spotted this strange thing in the sky. The town is well known for its Royal Air Force Base, which enjoys a certain reputation for investigating UFO sightings, which now houses Headquarters Air Command. Like the day sky, the video clearly shows a white mass making unusual movements in the sky. As it undulates like a dragon in the sky, it leaves wispy trails behind it as it goes. The movements are bizarre, since no known earthly craft is capable of making such movements. Number 18. Sky Anomaly. 2020 was the year when two sisterly states in the US developed a curious problem: winking lights in the night skies. It got so bad that the news picked up on the story, since multiple sightings in the two states at the same time was too strange by any standards and just couldn't be ignored. It caught the attention of the government, and several agencies were given the task of investigating the incidents. Even the Aviation Authority got involved, since the sky is its domain in particular. Despite all of those reports and investigations, the only explanation the government had was that they were drones. When asked why would 10 or 20 drones be up in the air at the same time, no clue. Anything but the obvious. Number 19. The Pentagon has proof. Here, the evidence has become so overwhelming that even the Pentagon has started releasing a mountain of evidence of UFO sightings. Take this video, for example, which was shared in 2023. This is footage of not one but two flying objects. The first object has a definite wake as it moves from point to point. Of course, they also released a very interesting explanation for it, that it was essentially a commercial aircraft, and the trail behind it is its shadow image. The Pentagon went with the drone explanation this time. Meanwhile, this footage was taken in the Middle East on July 12, 2022. It captured an apparent silver, orb-like object as it crossed the sensor's field of view. It should be noted that the second UFO does not have any smoke trail. Number 20. Out of this world. September 2018 was nothing extraordinary until it became so for Tomball, Texas. Nick Daly is an ex-Marine who had seen the world, but what he and his friends saw that night was out of this world. As they looked forward to winding down after a good night on the town, they were astounded to see three bright orbs blink to life in the night sky. The orbs were intense and could not have been missed, even if they had tried. They seemed to hover, giving Nick and his friends plenty of time to take out their cameras and start recording. Suddenly, the light blinked out and the night sky became dark once again, only for them to blink on one by one. The stunning event was recorded with perfect clarity, leaving its viewers convinced that they had proof that they were not alone. Number 21. It fell from the sky. In January 2021, Haleakala Avenue in Nanakuli, Hawaii, became the world's center of attention. An unidentified flying object was spotted by so many people that the Federal Aviation Administration had to take notice. This lady not only saw the blue object as it glided past her house, but she recorded it and even followed it to the shore, where it seemed to just dip into the water without making a splash. The police were flooded with 911 calls from multiple witnesses. All the callers said they saw a large blue object fall out of the sky and into the ocean. Fortunately, the government didn't have an explanation, did it? Number 22. Not Starlink. This is not Starlink, an explanation attached with every video footage ever captured of this particular phenomenon. This footage of a line of blinking orbs slashing across the night sky was captured by several witnesses in Australia on March 3, 2024. The same people were witness to these mysterious lights falling down to the ground in a blaze of glory. No explanation was given by the authorities, but the series of events suggests it could have been a UFO or a satellite crashing to Earth. Number 23. Twinkling in the sky. These tiny lights flickering in the night sky are definitely not unidentified objects, but they sure are unidentified otherworldly beings. This video was shared by an amateur video maker on the internet who spotted these strange glowing lights in her backyard. They flitted around at high speed, changing direction, rapidly flickering all that time. The sight was strange, yet exciting, even though these things are clearly unidentifiable. The maker of the video was unable to contain her awe and fascination as she caught the entire thing on camera. Number 24. Everyone saw it. A UFO encounter that has been witnessed by hundreds of people cannot be denied, like this one. Thousands of people were witness to this unidentified object hovering in the sky. It became so obvious the people not only stopped to watch it and videotape it, but drivers stopping in the middle of a busy road created a traffic jam on the highway. The incident could not be denied by the high authorities, so they decided to just keep quiet about it. Number 25. From the sky. We leave you with the best footage yet to have been found of an undoubtedly otherworldly event. This amateur footage was made by a passenger in a car as it traveled across state lines in the United States. What started off as a bright orb shining in the night sky soon turned into something so much bigger as it seemed to be accompanied by a cloud of fireworks. This cloud seemed to expand, but soon it was left behind in its wake as the odds slowly yet steadily descended the night sky. Was this a meteor shower or something much more sinister? Because never has such a meteor shower ever been experienced or witnessed by anyone. We are sure the government would have some sort of explanation lined up for this extraordinary event, but what do you think it was? Let us know in your comments below. Meanwhile, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and join us for the next ride through all that is strange and bizarre in our world.